right, let's jump right in, shall we? Today, we're diving deep into Big Sean's book, Go Higher. Now, before you think, oh, just another celebrity memoir, trust me, this one's different.
It's true. This book is more than just stories. It's a roadmap. Big Sean lays out 5 core principles, sort of like his personal recipe for success. Accept, strategize, try, trust, and manifest.
And he doesn't just list them, he weaves them into his life story,
Mhm.
showing how they play out in the real world.
Exactly.
So today, we're going to unpack those principles, see how Big Sean applied them, and hopefully, pull out some gems for ourselves along the way.
How good.
So rewind back to Detroit, Big Sean's roots. What was it about growing up there that shaped his perspective?
Well, Detroit, it's a city with a soul, a real strong sense of community. He had that middle-class upbringing, strong family ties, which definitely provided a solid foundation.
Right, but more than that, Detroit's got that unique cultural vibe.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about it. Marvin Gaye,
Yeah.
Berry Gordy, they lived on his grandparents' street. Talk about inspiration built into the DNA of the place.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, speaking of inspiration, his grandmother, Mildred, sounds like a force of nature. He talks about her influence a lot.
Absolutely. She was a pillar in his life, taught him a ton about, life and finances. Her car payment strategy,
Yeah.
genius.
But was that unwavering support, you know, always a good thing? Did it maybe sometimes hold him back from owning his choices, making his own mistakes?
That's a good question. Mildred, she always had his back, even when she didn't necessarily agree with his path, like when he decided to pursue music.
Right.
But Sean, he had to carve his own way too, funding studio time with telemarketing gigs, working construction for clothes. Those were his hustles, his choices.
It's that early grind, isn't it?
Yeah.
Speaking of hustle, that story about him turning down a chance to rap for Kanye West
Oh, come on, that's classic.
because he was waiting to cash a $180 check.
Yeah.
Talk about dedication.
I know, right? But it's so big, Sean, and it's important to remember that Kanye encounter, as legendary as it is, that was just the tip of the iceberg.
Okay, so there's more to the story.
Years of hard work went into it. Mixtapes, honing his craft. He didn't get signed until like 3 years after that Kanye meeting.
Persistence. It's interesting how he talks about his friend's reaction when the record label wanted to sign him solo, almost like his friend couldn't see the vision.
Yeah, that's a powerful example of how mindset, it shapes reality, but it also speaks to this idea of try, one of Sean's core principles.
Right. Like just going for it.
More than that, it's that willingness to be bad at something first. Like, Michael Jordan getting cut from his high school basketball team.
Oh, right, right. Setbacks are part of the process. Did Big Sean share any personal stories about, pushing past those uncomfortable moments?
Tons. Rapping for his mom for the first time, that had to be nerve-wracking. And the New York City grind early in his career. He always looked for opportunities to grow, expand that comfort zone.
I love that. So always leveling up, not just career-wise, but personally too. But what about that pull of external validation? Awards, money, fame. Did Big Sean ever fall into that trap?
He's really honest about that. He talks about his struggles with Adderall, chasing that external high, but it led him to this realization that true fulfillment comes from something else entirely.
And what?
Passion,
Yeah.
well-being, not chasing those shiny things. It really makes you think, what actually makes you feel good? Deep fan.
That's a big question, isn't it? What are we putting off because it feels uncomfortable? Or maybe we're scared to suck at it.
Exactly. And you know what? That leads us perfectly into another core principle, gratitude.
Huh.
Big Sean, he emphasizes appreciating even the little things, the mundane things,
Like what?
like saliva.
Saliva. Really?
He tells this story about a teacher who lost the ability to produce saliva due to cancer. It really puts things in perspective.
Wow, okay, I get it now. It's about appreciating what we have, even the things we take for granted.
Exactly. What small victories can we celebrate today? How can we cultivate more gratitude in our lives?
Great questions.
Mm-hmm.
But let's switch gears for a second and talk relationships. Big Sean's pretty open about his experiences, the good and the bad. Did he share any, wisdom he's gained from his relationships? Romantic or otherwise?
He does. He talks about the impact of losing his grandmother, the heartbreak of that. And he gets into the messy, complicated world of romantic relationships. One story that really stands out is about his song, I Don't Fuck With You.
Oh, wow. Powerful song.
It took on this whole new meaning after his ex-girlfriend passed away tragically.
That must have been tough. Yeah. It's interesting how art can, evolve with us, take on different meanings over time. Did he talk about how he dealt with that loss and how the song, took on this new life.
He reflects a lot on past arguments, misunderstandings, and he talks about forgiveness, not as forgetting or going back to the way things were, but more about releasing anger, setting boundaries.
So forgiveness is a form of, like, personal growth.
Exactly. Moving forward. Okay, let's talk about something else. This 5PS philosophy Big Sean has. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. He's big on preparation.
Right. But he also acknowledges that some things you just can't prepare for. So how does he, like, reconcile those two ideas?
He uses his Coachella performance as an example. Imagine this. Pre-show chaos. Everything's going wrong. But Sean, he stays focused, visualizes a successful outcome, trusts that it'll all work out. He kills it, delivers an amazing set.
So it's about mindset, even when things feel out of control.
Yeah.
Did he tie that philosophy to anything else? Any other experiences?
He talks about the pandemic, which, let's face it, no one could have really prepared for. His mom moved in with him, which was, initially uncomfortable. But it ended up bringing them closer.
It's like that disruption, that unexpected change actually strengthened their bond.
Yeah.
This idea of, like, making space for something new. It seems to come up a lot in his story.
Totally. He applies it to relationships, too. Sometimes letting go can be the best thing for both people. He tells a story about a friend who moved back to Detroit reluctantly.
Oh, I've heard people talk about moving back home after being away. Not always easy.
Right. Seemed like a setback at first, but it ended up leading to all these unexpected opportunities during the pandemic.
It's like, we think we know what a setback is, but maybe it's not what we think. Maybe it's about trusting the timing of things.
Surrendering control.
Yeah.
Being open to possibilities. And that actually leads us to how Big Sean views self-work, not as a destination, but a continuous journey.
So always evolving, always growing.
He had this recurring throat issue, and he had this vivid dream that made him realize he needed to use his voice more authentically, like really speak his truth.
It's not about reaching some, like, endpoint. It's an ongoing process.
Right. And Sean, he leaves us with some powerful questions to consider. What parts of ourselves are we ready to let go of? What are we holding back from expressing? What does going higher even mean for us?
Wow, deep questions. He's really pushing us to step into our potential, even when it's scary. Before we wrap up, what are your overall thoughts on the book? What makes it stand out?
I think what struck me is how he blends those personal stories with actual, actionable advice. He makes this idea of going higher relatable, but also aspirational.
It's not just some vague self-help concept.
Yeah.
It feels grounded in his experiences.
Exactly.
So for our listener who maybe hasn't read the book yet, can you kind of distill Big Sean's wisdom maybe into, like, 10 key takeaways?
Okay, 10 points. Let me see. Embrace your roots. Let your upbringing shape your worldview. 2, have a healthy outlook on money. Money comes and goes. Your worth stays the same.
That's good.
3, believe in your dreams even when people doubt you. And put in the work,
Effort is key.
4, get out of your comfort zone. That's where the growth happens. 5, find fulfillment from within. Passion, well-being, not external validation.
Loving these so far.
6, practice gratitude for everything, even the small stuff. 7, be real in your relationships. Learn from your mistakes. Set those boundaries.
Healthy boundaries are so important.
8, prepare, but also know that some things you just can't prepare for. Let go of control a little.
Trust the process.
9, make space for new beginnings. Sometimes letting go is the best thing for everyone.
Okay, what's number 10?
Self-improvement is a lifelong journey, not a destination. Keep striving to be the best version of yourself.
I love it. A roadmap for living with intention. It's clear that Big Sean's journey is, well, it's personal, but there are universal truths in there. Anyone can apply these principles.
I agree. And thinking about that, it makes you wonder, what if this life is our only chance to really evolve our souls? What if the answers we're looking for are already inside us?
That's a powerful thought. It's like an invitation to explore, to go inward, to figure out what going higher means for each of us. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Keep exploring, and remember, the answers are often closer than you think.